I've been using this editing console instead of my keyboard for drawing digitally for the past few weeks, and now the questions are, will I recommend it? Is it necessary? With over 160 shortcut combinations available, what shortcuts do you even put on this kind of thing, and how would you go about and get it for a discounted price? All of the questions and more will be answered in this video, so stick around, guys. If you're an artist or just love art and you follow a variety of art channels here on YouTube, you've probably seen this before. This is the TourBox Elite, a universal and ergonomic controller for creatives and creators. I've seen this thing being used by artists and creatives that I follow online, and my curiosity finally got to me. So in this video I'm going to take a look at the TourBox Elite and review it and test it from a digital artist point of view. But that's not all, because TourBox is currently collaborating with XPPen, a brand you should be familiar with if you've been watching my videos for a while. So besides looking at the TourBox, we are also going to be looking at the XPPen Artist 24 Pro. Help! And especially how these two tools can work together to potentially optimize your workflow. At least that's what we're going to find out. And to make things a little bit more interesting for you guys watching out there, at the end of this video I'll be announcing a giveaway. So be sure to stick around towards the end of the video so you can hear more about the giveaway and the prices. And as usual, for full disclosure, these products were sent to me in return for a review here on my channel. That means that TourBox and XPPen are sponsoring this video. However, as with all of my review videos, I'm only expressing my very own personal opinions based on my own experience using the products, and my collaborators are well aware of that. And without further delays, let's get started. Let's first take a look at the TourBox Elite controller and see what it can actually do. The controller has 11 physical buttons and 3 rotary buttons, and because you can make different combinations of these buttons as well as set up macros and a tour menu, you'll have hundreds of features in a single preset. The tour menu inside the console, which is the driver, can work as a quick access, for instance, to the tools in your toolbar in your drawing app. I'll show you how all of that works in detail later, but let's start by unboxing the TourBox Elite. When I first held the TourBox Elite in my hands, my first thought was that it was heavier than I had imagined, which in my opinion is a good thing, because I don't want a device like this to feel flimsy or cheap, which I definitely think it does not. The general feel of the TourBox Elite is actually very nice, and it looks like a high quality tool for sure. TourBox was also so nice to send me this cute and convenient little travel storage case for it. I really like the quality of this case as well, and the fact that you can even get a travel case like this for your TourBox just implies that the brand is serious about their product. One of the upgrades to the TourBox Elite, which is the one that I have here, compared to its predecessor, the TourBox Neo, is that the Elite can be used wirelessly via Bluetooth. So a true portable tool. No dongles or anything like that is required, just a simple Bluetooth connection. But in case you cannot use Bluetooth for whatever reason, you can still connect it to a device using USB-C. You can use the TourBox next to your drawing tablet, or if you're dealing with a bigger tablet like I do here, you can just place it on top where it will stick thanks to the rubber feet on the back of the controller. On the back side of the TourBox Elite, you'll find the power button and the Bluetooth button, as well as the battery cover. Yes, the TourBox Elite is powered by 2 AA batteries, and they supposedly last for up to 2 months before we have to change them. To me, the fact that it uses regular AA batteries instead of a rechargeable battery is a strength. Lithium batteries usually get weaker over time and can be incredibly hard, if not directly impossible, to replace in certain devices. With this solution, you can simply take out the batteries when they're dead, pop in new ones, and get a full charge immediately. Before we move on, let's quickly also take a look at the feedback on the buttons. I feel a bit of resistance in each dial and scroller, which for me is preferable compared to not having any resistance at all. It just feels like I have that bit more control, if you know what I mean. All buttons and dials are also clickable, and none of them are particularly awkward to reach using only one hand. My favorite button will have to be the side button. It just feels so good to push, and it has such a nice sound. But I'll explain that more in just a moment. First, I want to get back to the Artist 24 Pro, today's other protagonist. The XPPen Artist 24 Pro pen display tablet is, mildly put, a beast of a tablet. So much that I actually had to move all my gear to the living room to find space enough to unbox it properly. And this is actually not my first experience with this specific model. I actually showcased it last year on XPPen's own YouTube channel, so I already kinda know what's in store for me. This thing is a bit heavy, so be careful when you're moving it around and removing it from the box. The Artist 24 Pro is one of XPPen's high-end display tablets and is especially aimed for professional artists and serious artists in general. The active drawing area is approximately 21 by 12 inches and it has a 2K quad display, which is one of the things I love about this tablet and its size. It's not a fully fledged 4K display, but 2K is also very sufficient for this specific tablet. Generally, any tablet with a screen size bigger than 16 inches needs at least a 2K resolution in my opinion. Less would just be a waste on such a big screen. The tablet comes with a pre-installed stand that is fully adjustable, so you can always maintain a healthy posture when you're drawing or just using it as a monitor. The colors on the monitor are also quite good, with a color gamut at 90% Adobe RGB. The tablet has a total of 20 express keys and 2 dial rings located on each side of the tablet, and on the back side it also has its own USB hub, so you can connect additional USB powered tools or external hard drives here. Inside the big XPPen box is a smaller box that includes all of the cables and accessories, such as a drawing glove, an additional free stylus, a stylus desk stand, a stylus grip to install on the side of the tablet, as well as a dust cloth. The stylus, or styluses, because you get 2 of them, are super comfy and nice to work with. It has this nice rubber grip and 2 shortcut keys. You have a lot of options in terms of connecting the Artist 24 Pro with your computer, and you get all of the cables included no matter what option you go with, so you should be covered no matter what. Let's go ahead and set it up. I'm going to use this big fella with my tiny little laptop, so I'll only be needing the USB-C cable and the power cord for my setup. It's super nice to see the USB-C solution become more and more common with drawing tablets, because it's way more convenient than the whole 3-in-1 cable solution, I think. But you can still connect it using the more traditional combination of USB-A, HDMI, and power. Once you've connected the Artist 24 Pro to your computer, remember to visit XPPen's website to download the driver for your tablet. Now that the tablet driver has been installed, let's connect and set up the TourBox Elite. I'm going to be using my TourBox wirelessly and set it up with Bluetooth. To do that, first go to TourBox website and download the driver, also called the TourBox console. Launch the console and then select Add Bluetooth device. Now press and hold the Bluetooth button on the back of the TourBox until the indicator on the front starts flashing. Select the TourBox from the list in the console and click Connect. And that brings up the TourBox console. From here you can set up all the shortcuts and macros and customization you want for your TourBox. One of the things I found very intuitive is how you can go into the console and press any key on the TourBox, and the console will automatically show you where that specific shortcut can be mapped. When you download the console, it comes with a few pre-built presets out here to the left, but I went ahead and immediately set up a custom preset for Clip Studio Paint. Or you can just use their official preset template right here. You can actually make the TourBox recognize the software you're currently using and have it automatically activate the preset for that specific app. This is the auto switch function. You can also create multiple presets for the same app depending on what kind of work you do in there, and set up a key that switches between your app presets. That's also an option. Furthermore, you can also map a shortcut to the tour menu, a feature that allows you to quickly gain access to, for example, your tools from the toolbar. As you can see from the settings out here in the right side of the console, there are a lot of combinations that you can assign shortcuts or macros to, and even more if you expand these sections. There are so many that it's currently not even possible for me to fill them all out, but you have the opportunity if you use a lot of shortcuts or macros and can memorize them for that matter. All the dials can of course also be set to different shortcuts depending on which direction you turn them or even if you click them. A feature that is specific of the TourBox Elite is the addition of the haptic feedback on the dial, the knob and the scroll. When you turn haptic feedback on, you can feel and hear a difference when using the controller. You control the haptic feedback with these little buttons out here to the right. You can even choose between two modes of haptic feedback. Or you can turn it off completely. Likewise, for all of the buttons, you can control whether you activate them on button down, which is the default, button up when you release the button, or when you keep it pressed. You can also activate a heads-up display for the D-pad shortcuts, so you don't have to memorize everything. You can show or hide the HUD by clicking on the TourBox icon in the taskbar. You can also access the D-pad and its settings directly from your preset menu. Or you can set up a shortcut to display or hide it like I did. From here, you can also access an overview of the shortcut mapping on the TourBox. It shows the layout of your TourBox and custom shortcuts. I found this window to be especially useful when I was attempting to memorize my new shortcuts. And in case you'd like to use my personal TourBox preset for Clip Studio Paint, you can download my preset file for free. Just follow the link in the description. So as part of TourBox and XPPen's collaboration, they put up a creative personality test on their website. I took the test and my creative personality is the perfectionist. And according to this test, my perfect partner match is also the perfectionist. I think it fits well overall, but I'm also an extremely impatient person, and sometimes impatience wins over perfectionism, which might actually not be that bad, or good for that matter. If you want to take the test for yourself and discover your creative personality and your best creative partner match, just follow the link in the description below. And now that we have had a pretty good look at the two products individually, let's see how they hold up when they're used together. First of all, once the TourBox was set up for the first time, all I had to do was turn it on whenever I would open my laptop, and it connected automatically each time within a few seconds. The fact that there is no further setup time and everything is just running smoothly after the initial setup is really only expected of a product like this, but it also does deliver on that part. I think it's a very fair question to consider whether it's necessary to get a TourBox if you already have a tablet with 20 or so express keys and a few dial rings on top of that. I mean, take a brand like Wacom, right? They have released tablets for years now that don't come with any express keys whatsoever. Some of the tablets instead have a touchscreen, which can be really nice, believe me, but it doesn't really replace the use or the need for quick shortcuts. Even XPPen is starting to release keyless tablets, so I simply think that's the direction we're ultimately headed with pen display tablets in the future. And in those specific cases, regardless if the tablet has touchscreen or not, getting some sort of tool to offer you these shortcut options would definitely improve your workflow, in my opinion. I'm speaking based only on my own preferences, of course, but I actually still used a keyboard with my touchscreen tablet up until now. And I'm going to be completely honest and admit that I do plan to try and replace the keyboard for shortcuts with the TourBox Elite moving forward. But what in the case where you already have a lot of express keys available? Would I still recommend getting just any sort of additional shortcut tool? No, but would I recommend getting the TourBox specifically? Yes. Why? Because the TourBox offers much more than a bunch of random buttons. First of all, you get all these shortcuts and editing options in one little device that you only need one hand to control, so your main hand can stay on the canvas all the time. Secondly, compared to especially a keyboard, the TourBox offers so many more diverse physical shortcuts. You have these 3 different kinds of dials that you can use for shortcuts that relies on varying values such as brush hardness, transparency, size, and even rotating and zooming. And thirdly, the TourBox is not limited to the use of a tablet. You can also use the TourBox without the tablet if you want to. The express keys installed on the tablet are only available when you're using the tablet itself, that goes without saying, which also means that if you have several tablets, you can use the TourBox with every one of them. So how would you figure out which shortcuts to use on the TourBox and which to keep on the tablet? I generally like to add the shortcuts I use while I have my main hand on the tablet's canvas onto the TourBox. In other words, basically everything that might assist the drawing experience itself. And for shortcuts where I don't need the stylus or my hand to be on the tablet's canvas, for instance while previewing or controlling other apps, I map those shortcuts on the tablet's express keys. I found that this was the most efficient way for me to utilize and get the most out of my workflow while using both the TourBox and the express keys on the tablets together. I also quickly want to add that the TourBox for me personally was much more comfortable compared to using a regular keyboard. Because of a medical condition that I have to be very careful of not restraining my hands too much and too often, and my hand was much more relaxed using the TourBox compared to resting my wrist on the keyboard. Here I also quickly want to add that I'm right-handed, I draw with my right hand and I use the TourBox with my left hand. I also try to grip the TourBox with my right hand and I still feel like it was a really good experience and I didn't feel more restrained with my right hand compared to my left hand. There are only a few things I want to mention in terms of potential criticism or what could be improved on the TourBox. And one of them is the fact that I couldn't seem to resize the TourBox console window. It's really a minor thing, but there were a few occasions where I wish I would have been able to resize it so I could have placed it next to another window that I was using. And I also wish that the console would show me the battery status on the controller. But besides that, I don't really have any criticism to give to the TourBox Elite. I think it could be a great tool for digital artists, especially if you're one who uses a lot of shortcuts or your keyboard a lot when you're drawing. I will also admit that at first I was a bit skeptical about the TourBox when it came out a few years ago, because to me it felt more like a gimmick, just a lot of bells and whistles. But after trying the Elite model, I've actually become quite excited about it, and I think I'll try to incorporate it into other software as well, especially my video editing software. So personally, I will recommend it as a good tool for digital artists, and the Elite model specifically because it's wireless. Especially if you think you can use it for multiple purposes and not just your art. But even in a case where you would just use it for art, this could be a really good asset to your setup. Whether it's a must-have or not is really up to each individual artist. I didn't think I needed it, and I could also do without it. It's definitely not a necessity for drawing digitally. But now that I've tried it, I also think that it can make my workflow more efficient, or at least more fun moving forward. The retail price for the TourBox Elite as I'm recording this is $268 when it's not discounted, which to many people is a pretty hefty price for a controller, but if you want cool equipment, it will cost you. Right now though, because of the TourBox and XPPen collaboration, they're offering some pretty sweet bundle prices. For instance, you can save up to 25% on a bundle including a pen display tablet from XPPen and a TourBox. And if you already have a tablet, TourBox also currently offers a discount for a standalone purchase. In terms of putting a few words on the XPPen Artist 24 Pro, I have the same opinion as I did last year when I tried it for the first time. It is a great tablet. When it's not on sale, it's $900, and that's not cheap. But I also kind of think it's a fair price, especially considering you get a stand included, the size of the tablet and its screen resolution. After all, the Artist 24 Pro is more geared for professionalism rather than affordability. But as I mentioned, there's currently a bundle discount on this tablet as well, where you can have the tablet and the TourBox Elite controller for less than the tablet's standalone retail price. The response time on this tablet is great, basically instant. The display looks good, and I didn't encounter any dead zones on the tablet either. The tablet didn't get too hot at any point when using it, which is a big plus in comparison to my Wacom Cintiq, which gets pretty hot pretty quickly. The Artist 24 Pro is not fully laminated though, there is a small gap between the stylus and the cursor, but honestly it didn't bother me at all. I also did a jitter test on the tablet and I really don't have any concerns to add in that regard. Will it replace my current tablet, which is a Wacom Cintiq 16 Pro? Probably not, because I simply don't have room for a 24-inch drawing tablet in my physical workspace. It gets pretty cramped pretty quick, and I've grown really attached to the touchscreen of my current tablet. But if I had a separate space where I worked, I would definitely set this up with my laptop there. In my opinion, even after a year since I last tried it, it's still a really good pen display tablet, and I would definitely recommend this one for serious digital artists who looks a bit more on the specs rather than the affordability, but still wants that balance between them. Especially if you're looking for a big drawing monitor with a nice and spacious display for less than $1,000. The only area where I cannot be 100% sure is for how long it will hold up. I previously used an XPPen Artist 22R Pro for almost a year and never had any issues with it. My husband still uses the Innovator I received and reviewed a few years back, and that also still holds up. But in terms of this specific model, I don't have that experience yet. If any of you guys out there have the Artist 24 Pro and have had it for a while, go ahead and let us know in the comments how it holds up. It will really be helpful to a lot of people. That concludes my review of the Artist 24 Pro from XPPen and the TourBox Elite. Remember that this review is based on my own personal experience with these products, as well as my own preference for workflow and for equipment. But I do hope that you found the video insightful, or entertaining at least. And now is your chance to get your hands on a product from TourBox and XPPen. As I mentioned, I will be hosting a giveaway. It will be over on Instagram, so head over there to participate. The link is in the description, and all the details on the giveaway is also on Instagram. And best of luck to all of you in the giveaway. And if you want to learn more about the XPPen 24 Artist Pro, it's actually not that heavy, or some of the other tablets from XPPen, or the TourBox Neo or the TourBox Elite specifically, just follow the links in the description below. Thank you so much for sticking around, guys. I really appreciate it. Remember to like the video if you want to support my channel and subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and hit the little ding dong if you want to be notified of my uploads. Now it's time for me to go outside and touch some grass. Take care. Bye bye.